Okay, so the Chamber is done. We're one step closer to WrestleMania. There weren't a lot of matches on this one, so this should be fairly short. And of course, I kind of called it in quite a few of them. I thought initially that the Kofi Kingston Alberto Del Rio match would be for the title, since Kofi Kingston being a champion and it's being a pay-per-view match, you would assume he would be defending the title. But he didn't, so of course it meant that Del Rio was going to win. They also defended the tag belts. So you had Kozlov and Santino defended against the Core, which would have been Gabriel and the Ginger, Ezekiel Jackson on the outside. And of course they overcome this finally led to Santino Marella and Kozlov losing the titles to Core. So I guess now Core can feud with the Nexus tag team of McGillicuddy and Otunga. Maybe this will lead to a four-way match at WrestleMania with Santino, Kozlov, the Usos, Core, and Nexus. Okay, so now I actually get to one of the first Chamber matches. Now, Dolph Ziggler was fired, so Big Show took his place. Now, this one, deck is pretty well stacked against Edge. Kane had a phenomenal match in this one, eliminating Show as well as McIntyre. So, of course, it ends up coming down to Mysterio and Edge. Pretty decent ending, too, with Edge retaining, which we all kind of figured because no one else in that match would make a good match against Alberto Del Rio. Maybe Mysterio, but that didn't seem like something really worthy of being a Mania match. And afterwards, of course, Del Rio came down and began to attack Edge, which led to a run-in by Christian. So Christian, of course, saved Edge. They also introduced a new trainer for Tough Enough. Currently, you have Booker T, the mentioned Stone Cold Steve Austin. Trish Stratus is also going to be a trainer. We said her having a mild confrontation with Lay Cool after Kelly was rehired. Being that doing not SmackDown that much anymore, I didn't know when she was fired, but I knew Ziggler was fired. Ziggler, of course, was not rehired tonight. So, we've already gone through first Chamber, Kingston Del Rio, as well as the tag belt match. So we're almost pretty much done with the pay-per-view. Just always sad. Miz, Lawler. If you had Lawler was going to win, sorry. You kind of knew that Miz was going to go into Mania as a champion. So I mean, if you look at it, that's pretty much about it. Let me double check to make sure that I haven't skipped any matches. Had Del Rio, Chamber, tag. Yeah, so now we're down to the Raw Chamber. This pretty much came down to, we kind of knew John Cena was going to win. Cena has to headline at WrestleMania. That's just the way that it is. The neat thing was Punk got eliminated pretty early on. GM email came down saying he had a pod malfunction, so he got to come back into the match. Now, of course, now you see John Cena take on The Miz, which would be pretty unique because, when Miz first came over to Raw, he really did a lot to work against John Cena. So now they've kind of come full circle, Miz, now the champion, will be taking on John Cena, who's now the #1 contender. So your current matches for WrestleMania, ironically, they haven't changed that much. You're still going to have Miz, Cena, you're still going to have Del Rio, Edge. All in all, not bad. This is always sad for pay-per-views now, especially like Chamber and Hell in a Cell, since they're not allowed to do any sort of, bleeding. If you think for the matches that would at least have the opportunity to have blood, it would at least be Chamber and Hell in a Cell. So, we're now one step closer, and tomorrow is also the 2/21/11, so I guess we'll get to see the return of The Undertaker. And that was the Chamber.